So, welcome to Big Data lecture series. So, in this unit number 3, we completed the concepts of map and reduce, the phases of map and reduce, and other phases of mapper and phases of reduce we have seen. Now, we will go to the remaining concepts of map reduce environment. Now, we will focus on the partitioner. Now, when we want to process the data or when we are going to perform data pre-processing or processing activities in real-time applications, so data has to undergo in various phases of map reduce, starting from partitioning, splitter, combiner, partitioner, shuffler, sorting, searching. So, like that, now we are focusing on partitioning. Now, what is the working of this partitioner? We will see now. Now, the partition in map reduce, which will controls the partitioning of the key value pair which was generated during the map. As we know, when we are going for data processing activities, each and every text which has been splitted into a smaller chunks will be organized in a format called a key value pair. A key value pair, where key is a hexadecimal number which is used to indicate or to represent unique record or unique value of a data, and the value indicates the concerned value which has been stored in that smaller data chunk or data packet. That means, when we are getting a large stream of data as an input to the map or reduce, it started reducing or it started partitioning data into smaller chunks. Now, while doing the partitioning, each and every data chunk is going to be represented with a pair of two values which we will call it as key value pair. Now, this key value pair is going to be used to represent in further processing activities. So, that is here. So, partitioner in map reduce controls the partitioning of the key of the intermediate mapper output. As we discussed, now key is a hexadecimal number. Now, that key will act as a hash function. Hash function, the key or a subset of key is used to derive the partition of the data. And according to the key value pair, that means after partitioning the data into smaller chunks, every data chunk will have a key value pair. Every data chunk will have a key value pair. Now, that each key value pair is going to be mapped with the concerned blocks of that mapper reduce environment. That means, now let us assume if there more than one record is having the same key value, what will happen? Now, when it is having the same key value, that key value is going to be reduced. That means, here reduction means it is not deleting, simply it will apply the merge operation. That means, it will combine all the key values with the relevant key value, and all the count of the values are going to be combined into a single block. That will be done by the application or the block called reducer. Now, what is the partition will do? The partition class will determine the key value pair for every data chunk. Now, partition takes place after map phase and before reducer phase, that is in between mapper and reducer. Between mapper and reducer phase, we are going to apply partitioner. That means in between. Now, we will see that how this will work. Now, between mapper phase and reduce phase, we are going to apply partitioner. So, this partitioner is used to divide the data which is coming from mapper block into a smaller data chunks, and every data packet will have a key value pair. Now, these key value pairs are going to be combined or merged by applying reduce operation, and that will move to the output information or output module. That means in between mapper block and reducer block we are going to apply partitioner. Now we will see the how after completion of that partitioning how the searching is going to be completed. That means we divided the data into smaller chunks and we assigned a pair of key value to each and every data chunk, and we are trying to combine or we are trying to merge them. Now when we are trying to merge them of the same key value data, we have to find out where the key value is data is located and in which node the data is located. So to identify the concerned node number or concerned data node number or block where exact key value relevant information is located. To find out that key valued data, that means all key valued relevant data is going to be identified or found by using a approach called searching approach. Now we will see how this searching is going to be applied in mapper reduce environment. So searching plays an important role in map reduce algorithm. It helps the combiner phase and in the reducer phase. So that means to know what are the same key value data and to find out the same key value data in order to combine in a combiner phase, and after combining when you want to generate the final output we want to reduce the relevant or duplicated values in reducer phase we are going to apply searching. That means partitioner is used in between mapper and reducer, whereas in searching is applied in combiner as well as in reducer phase. Now let us see this example how this searching is going to be applied in real time applications. Find out the details of an employee who draws a highest salary in a given employee data set. That means from the given employee data set, let us take this small example. Here we are having some employee ID, employee name and salary of an employee we are having. Here from the list of all these values we want to find out one of the employee who draws the salary highest salary in the given data set. That means among all these values we want to find out the highest value, that is highest salaried employee we want to find out. Highest salaried employee is going to be identified by writing a query. Now it looks very simple because we are not using RDBMS concepts. We are going to perform in a big data environment. So when we are having a large amount of data, in order to execute queries like this, we can take the help of this searching block. So how the searching will do? It will compare the employee ID or employee name with the relevant salary or based on some key values. Like when we are comparing employees with the salary, here we have to compare the designation also. We can't compare salaries of two employees of two different designations. So when we want to compare the salary of highest salaried person, now we will take some relevant key values which they are maybe dependent values. Now in that aspect, whenever we want to derive the highest salaried employee from the given employee database, we can take the help of this searching block. Now this searching block is going to be used in order to combine the relevant key values, and it is going to be used in the reducer phase also. Now we will see this example. Now have a look at on this employee table here. Here we are having name and salary of various employees here. So let us take this first record. In the first record we are having 4. Let us take first block. In this first block we are having block A, or you can say node A. In this node A we are having 4 records of 4 unique employees. First one is a Satish, whose salary is 26,000. Krishna, whose salary is 25,000. Satish, who is drawing a salary of 15,000, and Raju, he is drawing a salary of 10,000. Now, based on the concept of duplication, if you look at carefully, you can find the duplication of the record, that we can call it as a replication or re-replication of the data. Let us take here. Here, Satish K, he is drawing 15,000 salary. The same record you can find in other nodes also. And let us take one more. Here, another employee called Raju, whose salary is 10K. You can find the same copy here also. So, like this manner, what they are doing, they are applying a concept called replication of the data. Now, why we want to maintain these duplicates of information? Maintaining a duplication of data is called as a replication. Here, our question is why we want to use this duplication of the data. Now, one primary reason is we are using a commodity hardware. In order to store the data, we are using a commodity hardware. When we are using a commodity hardware, they are cheaper in cost, and one more problem is they are high exposure for failure. The commodity hardware will have a high exposure of failure. If any node fails due to any one of the hardware failure or power failure or a network failure, there is a chance of losing the data. Let us assume we stored only Raju record only in first node and we have not stored in these 3 remaining blocks. What happens? If this node or block has been failed due to any hardware reason, we are unable to retrieve the information of Raju. So, this concept is called replication of the data, and we are applying the replication of the data because of we are using a commodity hardware which are having high exposure for data loss or failure rate. They are having high failure rate. Now, let us see this example. We will move to this example. Now, what mapper phase will do? Mapper phase, each input file provides the employee data in the format of key value pair that we know earlier. Every information will have a key and its relevant value, that is in the form of K and V. Now, what is K and V here? Here K is employee name and value is the salary of an employee. Now, after applying mapping phase, now how the data will looks like here? That means records have been converted into key value paired format. Values will not change, only its format is going to be changed here in the form of key value. So, here Satish is the key and value 26,000 is the value of the pair. Here also Krishna is the key, 25,000 is the value. So, what happened in this first phase? The given data has been distributed in multiple nodes by applying replication, and when we are going to perform or apply data processing activities on the data, initially we applied the map phase. So, what the map phase will do? Map phase will apply or convert the data into a format called key value format. Now, in this example, key indicates name of an employee, V indicates salary of an employee. So, all the values have been converted into a key value format. All the values have been enclosed between angular brackets. Now, after doing that mapper phase, we are going to apply the combiner. Now, combiner will check all the employee salaries to find out the highest salaried of an employee. That is our task. We want to find out highest salaried of a salaried employee. Now, let's have a look at the query what we have written. Here, max equal to, here the key value is employee name and V is salary. We declared 2 variables. K equal to employee name, V equal to salary of an employee. And next, max equal to, we declared a variable called max, that is equals to salary of first employee. That means salary of the first employee will be taken as a default value for the maximum salary of an employee in order to compare with the other values. Now, look at this conditional statement here. V of, that means value of second employee salary is greater than maximum or not. Let us take in the record, first salary of an employee is 26,000, second salary of employee may be 20,000. Now, that second employee salary was 20,000 is greater than 26,000 or not. If the condition is true, it will execute the statements within the braces. If it is false, it will go for else statement. Now, in this example, let us take the second employee salary is 20,000. The first employee salary we are taking as a maximum value. Let us take it is 20,000. Now, what will happen? The condition is false because 20,000 is less than 26,000. Now, what happen? It will go for checking again. Now, it will check again with the third employee salary with the maximum salary. Let us take the third employee salary is 30,000 and first my default value is 26,000. Now, 30,000 is greater than 26,000. Condition is true. Now, what it will make? It will make max equal to new value. Now in this case, after applying this 30,000 of this third employee salary and 26,000 is the default value, when the condition is true, this 30,000 is going to be replaced here. Now, this 26,000 is going to be replaced with 30,000 and it will continue with the checking. That means, it will go for the next iteration. Now, in this manner, it will try to combine or try to compare all the values of an employee table. Now, this is the expected result as per the given aspect. So, initially it is a 26,000. Now, it is going to be compared with each and every block value. Now let us have a look on this. Now, what is the meaning of these four values here? Satish is having 26,000 here, Gopal is having 50k, Kiran is having 45 and Manisha is having 45. Let's move to the previous slide. Now, in this previous slide, what it was written? It was applied if statement or conditional statement for every block. In this first case, it is 26,000 is a default value, we made it as a max, it was compared with each and every value. Now, after comparison, this is the only record which is having the highest salary. That means, from node 1, Satish is having 26,000 is the highest salary. From node 2, Gopal is having 50,000. From node 3, Kiran is having 45,000. From node 4, Manisha is having 45,000. Now, from 4 records, what we retrieved here, after applying the combiner phase by taking the help of this sample conditional statement called if statement, we found 4 records. Record 1, Satish, that is from first node 1, and this is from node 2, that is Gopal is having 50k. Node 3 was retrieved Kiran, whose salary is 45k, and node 4 has written Manisha's salary, her salary is 45k. Now, this is the combiner phase. Now, the combiner phase has what it was done? It started combining the values based on our requirement. Here our requirement is we want to find out maximum salaried employee. We want to display who is the person or employee who is drawing maximum salary. From 4 nodes, we got 4 names or 4 employees information whose salary is highest compared with the other employees in that node. We are not comparing other nodes, we are comparing within the node. Now, this is called combiner phase. Now, after completion of the combiner phase, we are going to apply the reduced phase. Now, what this reducer phase will do? It will try to combine all the 4 records based on the requirement. Now, let us have a look at here. From each file, you will find the highest salaried employee. To avoid redundancy, check all the key value pairs and eliminate duplicate entries, if any. That means, in both records, let us assume in both records we got Satish 26k, and here also let us assume we got Satish 26k. In that case, we have to eliminate one value, but in this case, we are having all the 4 unique values, no need of it. The same algorithm is used in between all the 4k v value pair, which are going to be coming from 4 input file. That means, here to eliminate duplicates, we are going to apply the reducer phase. Now, so till now what we have done? We partitioned the data, we applied the combiner phase and we applied the reducer phase to find out the best salaried employee from each and every node. Now, after having final result from the reducer phase, now we can move to the sorting phase. Now, let us see what is sorting is going to apply. The name itself indicates we want to arrange the data or we want to format the data based on the requirement of that query. Now in this, sorting is one of the basic map reducing algorithm to process the data and to analyze the data. So it is also one of the inbuilt application in MapReduce. Now what is the use of this MapReduce? We'll see now. MapReduce implements sorting algorithm to automatically to sort all the key value pairs from mapper. After applying the mapper blocks or mapper operation, that is partitioner, combiner and reducer, it will apply the sorting. That means upon completion of mapper block, sorting will come into the picture. That means we are moving into the reducer block. Now sorting methods are implemented in mapper class itself. That means within mapper we can also implement the sorting. Now along with the sorting we can also go for a shuffling. That way it is a combination of both. Shuffle and sorting phase is going to be applied on each and every key value data which has been collected as the process of or during the process of data processing. Now to collect similar key value pairs from the intermediate case, what we are applying? We are using a class called raw comparator. Now this raw comparator will compare each and every key valued from every node. Let us take in this previous example we are having 4 nodes. Every node is having 4 employees information. So all together we are having 16 employees information. All 16 employees information is going to be compared with each and every key value pair. Let us take we are comparing node wise. Now it will compare all values with each other. Now after shuffling and applying sorting operations, we will find out or we will get the final key value pairs of data without any duplicate information. Now we will see this one. Now the set of intermediate key value pairs for a given reducer is automatically sorted by Hadoop using or by preparing or by combining a list of key values here. So let us take here the key value is 2 and relevant values are V2, V2 and so on up to Vn. That means all same key value data is going to be combined into a single list of values that is going to be applied in reducer phase. Now we will see this example here. Output from mapper, how these techniques are going to be applied here. Now let us take all the 4 blocks. Here we are having some names of students and their marks, or let us take it's a rank. Now Ayush, he is having a rank of 432. Mona is having a rank of 462. Now as we know earlier, here we are having all the 4 nodes and every node is having some set of values. Now what we are doing, we are trying to combine all the values here with the same name, or let us take after applying the sorting operation, it will shuffle all the values and it will sort all the values. After completing shuffle and sorting, here this is the resultant output is going to be generated. So here after shuffling and sorting, we got Ayush is easy available in node 1, Ayush with the same name but another value, that is 345, and another in alphabetical order it's B2, it is 898. Like that we got all the 8 values in alphabetical order. If you look at carefully, here we are having a duplicate and here we are having a duplicate. Now it doesn't delete the value, it will combine. So it will combine. How it will combine? Ayush is the key value is going to be combined with the list of values 432 comma 345. So this is a k value and this entirely is a v value. Now like here in Disha also the record was repeated. Now here the values are 436 and 978. Now this is the key value, and remaining these two are the V1 and V2 or V3, V4 or any representation. So whenever there is a same key was identified during the shuffle and sorting phase or before giving an input to the reducer block, it will combine all the key values with its all the list of values. All keys are going to be combined with list of V values. Now after combining or after completion of this shuffling and sorting, what we do? We are compressing. So that we have done in the slide only. So what we have done here, we try to combine here. Sorting will do only arranging the data in a required sorting order, maybe ascending or descending order. Now here directly we applied this compressor. Now the compressor will do this operation. Now we will see this how this compressor is going to be applied in MapReducer. In compression phase or during the compression phase, the MapReduce program, you can compress the MapReduce output file. That means the file which has been generated during the MapReduce can be reduced or can be compressed. And what are the benefits of using a compression? It will reduce the space in order to store the file in physical location or in physical memory. And another advantage is it will speed up the data transferring from node to node or machine to machine among the network. So it will reduce the space, that is storage efficiency can be increased. Data transferring speed can also be increased by applying compression technique. Now while applying or to apply compression techniques in real-time operations, we will take the help of some default methods, like we can go for a configuration setting the boolean values of mapper compressor value as a true. That means here we are applying a compression operation on mapper processing activity. That means here we are setting its boolean value is true. Let us take instead of true, here we have written a false. What will happen? Compression operation will not be executed. By default, values will be saved in the target location. So in order to use compression operation, here we have to use the boolean value as true. That is mandatory. And second one is, here we are setting the class label. That means from source to destination we have to give. That means here from which location we are collecting the data, that is output of MapReduce, where the file has been located, that class file, followed by after completion of the compression where the location is going to be stored. So here we are calling two dot class files. One is used to locate the source location, and another one is used to indicate the destination location to store the compressed data. Now we will see some of the real-time applications where this data compression, or you can say MapReduce compression, are going to be applied in various real-time applications. So let's have a look at, and the first one is the social network. How the MapReduce is going to be applied in the social network. Let us take our known example. We'll go with the Facebook. Now how the Facebook is going to be apply MapReduce, or how it will do the analysis. Now in order to know the total number of users, are, let us say, total subscribers of Facebook, and what is the content which is going to be generated per day or per minute, that is statistically. In earlier session we discussed, on an average we are generating 2.5 quintillions of data per day. Quintillions of bytes of data we are generating per day. That means it is approximately 2.5 into 10 to the power of 18 bytes. So this much amount of data we are generating per day, either through social media or either through entertainment, any other mean, we are generating 2.5 into 10 to the power of 18 bytes of data per day, or per day we are generating. Now, how this is going to be used is helpful in social networking. Look at here. If you look at this size, which is enormous amount of information, now how it is going to be used in real-time applications in social networking. Let's see this one. So, after collecting all the customers' information, the Facebook server, whenever a particular customer called X want to, it is like XYZ is a customer particular person, he want to download all his chart history. He want to download all his chart history from the beginning of his account creation. From the beginning of his account creation, he want to download the chart history. So, he want to download the chart history. Now, look at here. Let us assume he created account on 1/1/2016. Now, he is trying to download it on 29/8/2020. So, approximately 4 years of information is stored. Now, he want to see the complete 4 years of chart history. He want to download it in a single file. Now, what it will do? It will try to combine all the chart activities performed by the user, either in the form of textual conversation or in the form of sharing an image or whatever content or method they used to communicate or to chat with their friends, that all information is going to be segregated and combined in a single file, and that file is going to be make it ready to download, and later he can see the complete chart information. That means complete 4 years information is combined together into a single file. Now, that is one of the example of social networking. Let us assume when they want to close the Facebook. So, recently Google Music has been closed. Now, what they have given a deadline. So, they have given a deadline. By the deadline, if any user want to download their private content, they can download it. After the deadline, what will happen? The data is going to be erased completely from the Google Music server. Like this. So, whenever, let us assume after 10 years Facebook is going to be closed. Now, what they will do? They will send an intimation letter intimation mails to all the users or subscribers to download their relevant information, and they will give the time to download their personal information. So, in this aspect they can use the data for storage purpose and entertainment purposes. Now, let us take another example. Now, we will go for the banking example. How the MapReduce is going to be used in banking example. So, whenever they want to analyze the customer's information, customer's behavior, their purchase history, in order to find out the loyal customers of the bank. Now, let us they want to issue a loan to a particular employee. Now, based on the past repayment information of a particular customer, they may offer more loan amount than the remaining other non-repaid persons. That means, if any person is loyal to the organization or the company and he is doing all repayments on time, now what they want to give a special discount or offers to those loyal customers. Now, they are not giving this type of offers to all the customers of the bank. They are giving an additional benefit to all the customers who are paying the loan repayments on time. Now, how they will know? Some group of people are loyal to the banking, remaining are not, because they are maintaining complete transaction history of each and every customer of the bank. Based on the customer repayment or transaction related information, if the bank people will satisfied among the existing millions of customers, they will segregate and they will find out only the best customers, and for them only they will issue these type of additional benefits towards the bank. Like this, in all aspects we can use MapReduce. We can use in entertainment and media, we can use in healthcare industry, we can use in marketing, or we can use in weather forecasting. So, if you look at closely, all these are very huge and real time applications that we are using in our daily life. So knowingly or unknowingly, we started using these applications in our daily life. We are directly using social media and entertainment. Weather forecasting we are not using directly, but we can get the predicted results from the weather forecasting server. To alert the people, this information can be used and can be circulated to the public, and they can go for a stock exchange or a stock business or stock market related information in order to predict the price of a product or a price of a share value, and based on that prediction they can go for investment or they can go for closing of the investment also. Like this, in various applications we can use the MapReduce in these applications. Now we are going to move another concept called data serialization. Now when we are dealing about large amount of data, how the data is going to be transmitted over the network. That means, let us assume a server is located in some city and client is located in another city, and they both are communicated via in a Hadoop environment. So in this Hadoop environment or in a big data environment, how the data is going to be transmitted securely and safely is going to be focused here. So data serialization is the process of converting object data into byte stream data for transmission over a network across different nodes on a cluster or a particular data storage location. So when we want to move huge amount of data from one location to another location in a network, how the data transmission is going to be taken place, how the data is going to be converted from object to byte storage information or streaming information is dealt in this data serialization. How to convert object data into byte streaming data. Now the converted data is going to be used in the network for data transmission. So this concept is called data serialization. Now how the MapReduce is going to be implemented with data serialization. MapReduce offers well documented support for working with the sample data formats as log files. That means in which format the data is going to be stored or in which format data is going to be retrieved as per the need and requirement of the end user. In that format only data is going to be stored in the form of log files. That means instead of maintaining in a unique format, let us convert the data into a required format. So this is going to be implemented in data serialization. But what are the formats which are available in order to convert that byte data into object data into byte stream data? The commonly used are, we can store data in the form of a textual information, or we can store data in a markup language format, or we can go for a JSON format in order to convert the data over the network using transmission modes. Now what is the objective of this serialization, which is used to transfer the data or in a structured format over the network. So this is about data serialization. Now we will see how this serialization is going to be implemented in MapReduce environment. Now let us take, here we are using two known formats called, we are storing data in XML and JSON formats. Now using these formats, two formats, what are the challenges are there in order to implement data serialization? Let's have a look at two major challenges. Here the first challenge is, though MapReduce requires classes that can support reading and writing a particular data serialization over the network, but it has to support all the formats at the end user level. That means, as we know, on MapReduce or in Hadoop environment, at user level, either they can perform either data read-write operations as an anatomy of Hadoop read-write operations. Now when they are performing a read-write operations, whether the system will support for the format of the data that they are using for read and write operations, that is the major challenge here. Whether it is provides sufficient format or will it allow to perform read-write operations on all formats of data. And second one, it is going to predict how efficiently the MapReduce is going to be implemented in parallel environment. That means at a time, if we are applying read-write operations on more than one node in a parallel environment, how the efficiency is going to be maintained or it is going to be increased in order to implement this data serialization over the network is the major aspect here. That means when we are going parallel read and write operations in network environment, how the MapReduce will offer the efficiency of doing all these parallel read and write operations in Hadoop environment or big data environment. Now, finally, data serialization will support MapReduce property of the input-output classes to perform read-write operations on the MapReducer data. Now, what are the commonly used serialization formats? As we discussed earlier, the commonly used serialization formats are XML and JSON. Now, XML has existed, it came into the existence in the year 1998. It is used to represent a readable user level tags are going to be used in order to write their own HTML tags, or you can say markup language tags. Now, to exchange the data securely over the machines among the networks, XML is one of the suitable markup language to exchange the data between the nodes or machines, because it offers free form of writing, user level keys, and XML is equipped with some inbuilt parsers like DOM parser and SAC parsers. These parsers are used to exchange the data securely over the network. This feature is not available in remaining markup languages like HTML and HTML5. Now, this is one of the technique which we use in order to maintain data serialization when we are dealing about large amount of data. Another format is JSON. JSON also will give the same efficiency like XML. Now, this is also used, but for this we require some basic requirements. They are, when we are using JSON, JSON doesn't accept the pre-formatted data. That means MapReduce doesn't come with an input format that works with JSON. Whereas XML is coupled with MapReduce. Whereas if you want to use JSON, MapReduce output or input is not coupled with the JSON format. Here we require an additional activity converting of the format. Second is, how about the splitting of JSON files? Now, XML files can be splitted very effectively and easily over the network, but JSON file splitting is not that much effective compared to XML. Now, these two activities, how can be overcome in MapReduce if you are going for a JSON data serialization? So, this slide will give the complete information about how JSON will differ from XML. Now, to split the files by providing a random offset numbers, we will need to be able to maintain starting of each and every JSON file. That means when we are splitting the data into multiple JSON files, let us take this is JSON file 1 which is used for the first node. Whenever you want to create another JSON file, there should be an address is going to be maintained in the previous JSON record. That is, address of this JSON file is going to be maintained here, like a linked list concept. That is mandatory here. So, when we are divided the data into a random offset file, we need to identify starting of the next JSON element, when it is going to be started and at what data element the JSON is used to create the serialization activity. So, there should be a interfacing between all the JSON elements when we are using in Mapper environment. And one more thing, We can also implement the hierarchical data format. That means more than one format of data can also be used in the single data serialization activity using JSON. So what happens if the same property is available in the previous data element or same key value is available, the key value can be inherited, it can be taken into create the next JSON element. So here extracting the parent properties can also be used in this hierarchical implementation of JSON data serialization. So this is the advantages of using a JSON. Now, what are the available big data serialization formats? As we know, we can store either structured data or we can store semi-structured data, or we can go with the unstructured data. The first one is unstructured text works well when we are comparing with the scalar or tabular data. That means when we are having a large amount of data and scalar nature data and we are having a tabular data, we can convert or we can make it as a structured data. And when it comes to semi-structured data, the XMLs and JSON can be used to apply data serialization when we are having a semi-structured data. That indicates composite fields of data. We can acquire the properties of parent class by imposing hierarchical activities on the data. So when we are dealing with big volumes of data, here the major thing is here we want to perform some compact serialization operations in order to store or to process large amount of data in big data environment. So here in big data serialization, based on the type of the data, we can choose the serialization format. If it is unstructured data, we can go for scalar and tabular data in order to reconvert or rearrange the data in a structured format. If it is already semi-structured data, we can use XML and JSON formats to store the data. Now what we will do here, we will compare how the MapReduce will follow with this all serialization formats. Now, in order to implement the serialization activities in MapReduce environment, we have to follow these four basic characteristics. They are the code generation, versioning, language support and transparent compression. These are the characteristics of data serialization. Let us have each and every characteristic. The ability to generate Java classes and utilities that can be used for serialization of the data and deserialization. That means how can we start the serialization and how can we close the data serialization using Java environment is going to be dealt with the code generation. That means the code generation will deal about how to generate Java classes and Java utilities in order to implement serialization and deserialization in big data environment. Next one, versioning. That means ability for file formats to support backward and forward compatibility. That means when we are using a lower versioned data, let us take we are converting data 1997 Word format to 2019 Word format. This is a small example. So when we are having miscompatibility or incompatible data formats or data items, how can we convert that formats and compatibility? That will deal with the versioning, that is backward and forward compatibility of the type of the data is dealt in versioning. And next one is language support. That means what are the languages will give the complete compatibility or support to the big data environment, and their relevant library files and their packages will deal about in language support. And transparent compression. That means when we are applying file formats in order to compress the records internally, what are the compression techniques are going to be implied or applied on the big data environment. And other characteristics are splittability. That means how the data packet or data is going to be splitted into smaller chunks or smaller data, that is dealt here. That means how multiple input splits are going to be applied on the data. The next one is native support of MapReduce. That means reading or in order to provide a support of reading and writing of the files in their native format will produce the directly in their native environment. That means Instead of using a global language, let us take we are using our big data environment for a Chinese language or Japanese language. Now, when they are doing reading and writing operations in their native environment, it has to support. Next one is other projects of Hadoop environment, they are Pig and Hive. So these also used for processing activities. So Pig store and load functions related to big data, and Hive uses various formats of data or stores the formats of data. That means that the functions which are required to perform big data or Hadoop environment, Pig will store, and formats of data are going to be maintained and collected by the Hive project. So Pig and Hive are the two inbuilt sub-projects of Hadoop ecosystem. Now these are the comparison of data serialization frameworks based on the type of the file. Now let us take, if you are having a sequence file, for sequence file doesn't require any code generation, it doesn't require any versioning, and for sequence file Java, Python can be used. We can apply transparent compression of the data, we can go for a splittability of the data, and it will support native support in MapReduce. We can apply Pig and Hive on sequence file. When it comes to the protocol buffers, code generation is optional, but we can implement it. Versioning is available. When we are dealing with the protocol, these are the languages that we can use for MapReduce. That is CPP, Java, Python, Ruby and Perl can be used. And if you look at here, we can't apply the compression techniques, splittability techniques on buffered data. It's not allowed to split the data. When we are having a thrift library, we can apply mandatorily code generation block. We can go for a versioning, that is forward and backward compatibility, and these are the languages that we can support. And here also it will not allow compression of the data, splittability of the data, uses of Pig and Hive are not allowed in thrift library. And Avro library, we can use all activities. So these are the features of various big data frameworks. So with this we completed the concepts of MapReduce. Now we'll see a quiz part here. Let's try to find out descriptive level answers for the following questions. What is the use of mapper? What is the use of map function or map block? And what are the blocks of map? That means what are the inbuilt activities that we can apply on map that we have to give. The next one, what are the parts of reducer block? What are the parts of reducer block? The next one, briefly define the following. Briefly define the following terms. So you can define in a single sentence. They are: what is a compressor? Next, reducer, combiner, shuffle and sort, splitter, and partitioner. So give a single line definition for compressor, reducer, combiner, shuffler and sort, splitter and partitioner. So try to find out the answers for these questions. Now with this we completed our session on introduction to MapReduce. So we'll see in the next class. Thank you.